Hey guys, it's an interesting video on Wild Rift. So we're back with a very interesting one today. We're back with a Nautilus complete guide. So recently I was autofilled support in solo queue, and as you guys can see from the title, Nautilus has one of the most amounts of CC of all the supports, and honestly, in my opinion, I feel that at the current moment he is the best tank engager support. Now, of course, that is a little bit contentious of a opinion, but it is my opinion. As you guys saw from my tier list, I ranked him pretty high in the S tier, and I still believe that he is one of the best supports in the game. So obviously, when I'm autofilled to support, I'm gonna put my money where my mouth is, and I'm gonna be playing support, playing Nautilus. I mean, so. You will of course see that in the gameplay later on, but for now, of course, we're gonna focus on getting through this complete guide. So first up, what we're gonna do is we're gonna head over into the practice tool, and in there, we're gonna talk about his leveling order as well as his skills and abilities. We haven't done this in a hot minute, because most of the time we're doing on the ADCs, and we always have done it before, so no point wasting time there. So here we finally have, something to take a look at. So at level 1 Nautilus, you want to start your Q, which is of course your hook. We'll go over that later. And then after that, you want to take your W at level 2, then finally your E, and then you max your Q first, and then take out whenever available. After your Q is maxed, max your W. And then, of course, the last thing to max is, of course, your E, and that would be it. So we're gonna head over to the river, our usual favorite spot, to kind of review what his abilities do. You already saw what his Q kind of did there, based on that small little sample I gave when I was walking over. So here we're gonna put down a couple of enemy dummies, because we're gonna need a couple of them to really explain what exactly he does. Okay, so first off, let's take a look at his passive. So what his passive does is basically whichever enemy he attacks is going to be rooted. Now, so you see if I attack him, he's going to be rooted for a second or so. But you guys see on his feet there is a cooldown. So while that circle is going on, he's not going to get rooted again. However, if I attack the other guy, he is going to get rooted. So you can't apply the root to multiple targets. Now, something to note is that this also works on jungle monsters. So if you... Oh, actually it does not work on... it did work on it, so yeah. It does work on jungle monsters as well, which is kind of why Nautilus jungle also works. So that is something to know. It does work on jungle monsters. Doesn't work on like dragons and heralds, all that. So something else to take note. So next up is his Q. His Q is basically a hook and is a skill shot, of course. Straight line. Basically what it does is when you hit an enemy, it's gonna pull you toward them and them toward you. So if you notice, I'm over here now at the plant. He is right over there in the river. When I hit this hook, it's gonna pull both of us to basically the middle of where the hook range is. So if you cast it at close range, it's basically gonna move both of us really little. Of course, because you basically meet in the middle. So of course your hook will hit the first target. So if I'm trying to hit this guy here that I'm aiming at, but this guy is in the way, he is going to actually block me. So I'm going to end up hooking the guy that's directly in front of me. So it can be blocked. So if you're trying to hit like an ADC in the backline, their support or tank, whatever, can actually block for them. Now the other thing you can do with this is if you hit terrain, you will get dragged over to terrain. Now there's two things that make this very significant. The first thing is if you're running away. So this is a group of enemies. If I'm running away, I can actually hook this wall here to run away faster. And when you hit terrain, what's going to actually happen is you're going to get a refund. Half of your mana and half of the cooldown will be refunded. So now another thing to take note of is the tower. So basically, for example, if you have an enemy dummy, let's say over here in the tower. So actually let me... Oops, I did not mean to press that. So let's say I have an enemy dummy over here in the tower. Now let's say I'm trying to aim at this enemy dummy, but let's say I miss. Now what's going to happen here is I'm going to end up hooking the tower and going into tower range. And of course the tower is going to attack me. Now of course in this case the minions are there, which is why the tower is not attacking me. But if I miss the guy and I hit the tower, I am going to be in range to get attacked. So that's going to be a problem for everyone to take note of. Next we're going to talk about his W. So his W is really simple. it's just, you just click it. What it does is it gives you this shield, and while the shield is active, your attacks are going to be AoE. Now, of course, I don't actually have the dummies close enough to each other. Let me put another dummy here. So, the attacks are going to be AoE, and your attacks are going to do a little bit more damage. You guys can see here. When I attack this dummy, all the dummies are taking damage because of the AoE, and it's simply just that. Now, his E, also really simple. It just, basically, you guys can see there, it sends 3 shockwaves around you, does a little bit of damage, and gives all enemies a slow. So, a good combo you can do that most people don't know of is if you're trying to run away, say this is a group of enemies, I'm trying to run away from them, you can actually hook the wall, and after you hook, you can actually cast your, E when your hook is in the air. So this allows you to run and slow them down at the same time. Oops, I accidentally hooked the enemy there, but you guys get what I'm trying to say. Now finally is his ult. So what his ult does is you have to select a target, and as you guys can see, there is an area around them. Whichever target you select, basically there's going to be this wave that travels toward them, and they're going to get knocked up, and everybody around their area is going to get knocked up and stunned. So you guys can take a look here. Boom! The whole lot of them around there got knocked up and stunned. Now, something else to take note of is whoever is in the path is also going to get knocked up and stunned. So say I'm trying to attack this guy at the back, but as you guys can see, there is these 2 target dummies in front of me in the way. As the wave is traveling there, they are also going to get knocked up. So you guys can see all of them got knocked up and stunned. Now, obviously, this means Nautilus has a lot of CC. So he has a hook, a auto attack for a root, and a ultimate for a knockup. So you guys can see a whole lot of CC. That's why Nautilus is an absolute CC beast. Alright, so now that we've got his skills, abilities, and leveling order out of the way, we can move straight on into talking about his build, as well as his runes and spells, of course. Okay. So here we have the Nautilus build. Now, as we all know, Nautilus is a tank, which means his build is going to be very variable depending from match to match. So you do have to adapt your build. But I'm going to give you guys a rough guideline on what exactly your build. Now, this is, of course, Nautilus support. Nautilus can be played in the jungle. He can be played in the top lane as well. And generally, if you play him in those roles, you can go for the same build if you want to go tanky. But you can also go a little bit of hybrid with a little bit of magic damage like the Rod of Ages or like a Sunfire Cape. For example, but this is the full tank Nautilus support build. So first up, of course, you're going to start with the support item, which is the Relic Shield. Relic Shield is, of course, going to give you more health and going to allow you to execute minions to, of course, get more gold, share gold with your ally, as well as get a little bit of healing when you proc the Relic Shield. So that's pretty straightforward. Now, the first item we generally go for these 2 items every game. Start of the combo. First item we generally go for is the Ixtali Seed Jar. Now, Ixtali Seed Jar gives you a huge injection of max health, ability haste, movement speed, and of course you do get that strange passive where if you pop plants, you do get a second use of the plant, which you can manually plant. Now, personally, I don't find planting the plants to be incredibly useful. Now, of course, planting an extra honey fruit is going to be useful if your ally is low or if you are low. Planting an extra Scar's Bloom is really good to get extra vision. And of course, getting the Blast Plant could make some interesting plays happen. But from what you'll see in the gameplay, and like more or less like 99% of the time, that plant rarely really amounts to, maybe not 99% of the time, but maybe 80% of the time, it rarely amounts to anything much. You mostly buy this purely for the stats, because this is only 2,500 gold. If you look at the cost, where is the cost? Right? Alright, here. It's only 2,400 gold, sorry. It's only 2,400 gold, so more or less you can get this before Dragon most of the time if you're proccing your Relic Shield properly. So, the fact that it gives you this much health and ability haste is the main reason why you get this item. Next item you generally get is the Stone Plate. So Stone Plate, obviously, you're going to be getting that with either the Merc Treads or the Plated Steel Caps, depending on what you need for the match. Do you need more MR and more tenacity, or do you need, more armor and, of course, the damage reduction? Now, generally, the default is going to be Plated Steel Caps if you don't know which one to get, because it gives you damage reduction, and that's always going to be useful on a tank. And the Stone Plate, of course, is going to give you that huge shield which scales off of your max health, which is going to be a lot considering your attack, you have a lot of max health. You get 425 max health from here, and 700 max health from here, so you're going to have a huge shield. Also can be seen later on in the gameplay, and the reason why you get this straight after the X30 Seed Jar is by this time your support items should already be fully upgraded or almost fully upgraded, so you can take advantage of the support item passive, which of course lowers the cooldown of your active item whenever you get a kill or an assist. So of course you want to pop this preferably earlier on in the fight, soak up damage, and then you can get a reuse of it later on in the same fight or shortly thereafter. Next up we go from Warmonk's Armor, which is the combo with X30 Seed Jar. This gives you a lot of health regen, and ability haste. Health regen is going to be useful because you don't actually have to recall to get health if you have mana but you have no health. You guys will see this later on in the gameplay as well. And of course max health is really useful to make you really tanky. And when you have at least 950 bonus health, which we do because of the X30 Seed Jar, you can restore 5% max health per second. I'm sorry, it's not the health regen that you can see later, it's the Warmonk's Heart that you can see later on in the gameplay. We'll show that off real good. So now, with your first four items, if you count the enchant, is basically going to be fixed every single match, because whether you're going into high AD or high AP, having health is always going to be good. So pretty much the first four items is going to be fixed. Now the last two items is where the variation comes in. So the first item you get like in 90% of matches is going to be Thornmail. Why do you have to get Thornmail? Because you normally want to be getting the Bramble Vest. And the Bramble Vest, of course, you normally will get this earlier on. Like, you don't literally get the Bramble Vest last time. You can get Bramble Vest like after X30 Seed Jar, after Stone Plate, or whenever you need to, based on when you need the Grievous Wounds. Especially in patch 3.5 where Lord Dominic's Regards is going to be out. You generally need this like every match because you need Grievous Wounds on your team. And as a support, you should invest in the Grievous Wounds. So generally you will get this every single match. But of course you only want to complete it into Thornmail at the very last item, because Thornmail is one of the least gold efficient items in the game. So you don't want to be getting this too early, you only want the Bramble Vest. So of course for this other item you have a whole host of options. Now Dead Man's Plate I just put there as a default because it's always going to be a good option with the extra movement speed to rotate around the map. But literally everything else is an option. Sunfire Aegis is of course an option, but I personally don't like it because I don't find the damage to be very useful in terms of wave clear or actual damage. So I don't really go for this. Spirit Visage is a no-go for me as well because the other magic defense items are way better. Now Randuin's Omen is actually an item that you want to opt into if there are at least 2 crit users on the enemy team. So for example, if they have like a Yasuo and a crit ADC, you want to get Randuin's Omen. If there are true crit based champions on the enemy team, this is a must purchase in that match. So next up what we have is, we do have the Iceborne Gauntlet, but I don't really like it because you don't stack too much armor because you have the double health items. Zeke's Convergence is also an option as well if you are a Zeke's Convergence user, but I personally don't build Zeke's Convergence on any champion at all, so I don't opt into that. Protector's Vow is not really good as well with the guard for your champion, for allied champions. Now it gives health and armor ability haste. It's a really good item as well. Winter's Approach I've actually seen on the more carry-oriented Nautilus. For our purposes, we aren't gonna build this, but if you're building to a more carry-oriented Nautilus, you can of course go for this one. And then your go-to magic defense option is gonna be the Force of Nature. Force of Nature gives you the most magic defense, gives you the movement speed as well, and gives you the ramping magic defense. So this is the most MR item, most MR from an item you can get in the game. It's going to be your default option. The other option is of course going to be Abyssal Mask. Abyssal Mask boosts the magic damage of the people around you. So if you have like 1 or 2 AP champions on your team, you can go for this instead of Abyssal Mask to help out with their damage. And you yourself also deal AP damage on most of your abilities, so this will also help your damage. But Nautilus is a tank, he doesn't deal too much damage, so only if you have a couple of AP damage dealers. And lastly, of course, is the Frozen Heart. So Frozen Heart gives you health, mana, and ability haste, but the main thing is reducing attack speed by 20% on the enemy team. Now, if they have 3 auto attack based champions, this is a must buy. So for example, if they have like a Jinx ADC, let's say they have like a Kale in the mid lane, and let's say they have what else is like auto attack focus. Let's say they have I don't know, I don't know, another ADC in the top lane or something like that. Like it's not too difficult to find like 3 attack speed champions in a game. So if they have like 3 attack speed champions, this is pretty much what you want to go for. all the time. So you know, he's a tank. He has a lot of options. And that's pretty much that for the build. Now we can talk about the runes as well as the spells. So for the runes, you want to take Aftershock every single time, as we already covered in the build. You have a whole ton of CC in your kit, and everything procs the Aftershock. So Aftershock, what it does is, of course, when you hit CC, you will gain a huge burst of extra defenses, which is the main reason for Aftershock. Then you're going to deal a little bit of AoE damage. AoE damage doesn't actually matter. You're taking this for the defense. For the Domination rune, pretty much going to be weakness 100% of the time, because as I mentioned, you have 3 forms of CC. So this is going to boost the damage onto whoever you hit, both from yourself as well as from your allies. Take this all of the time. And then for the Resolve rune, you really have a couple options. First one is Hunter Titan, of course gives you more health and more tenacity. But in some instances, what you really want is the Bone Plating, if I can find it. Yeah, here we go, the Bone Plating. So the Bone Plating is going to help you against burst champions. Now, I like to take this if I feel like I need anti-burst. Some matches is, you know, you just feel like you're going to get bursted, so you're just going to want to take that, especially if they have a strong like mid lane mage carry, but otherwise I default to Hunter Titan. Last rune, you have a lot of options as well. Now, Nimbus Cloak, I like to take Nimbus Cloak for the extra speed when I cast abilities, but another option is Demolish. Demolish, of course, helps you get towers quickly, especially since you're building so much health, and it scales up 30% max health. You're going to take down towers really, really quickly. Another option is, of course, going to be Hunter Genius. That's always going to be an option for everybody, but I don't think it's the best choice for Nautilus. Pathfinder is actually also an option if you like to roam around the map and make plays, which you should be doing as a support and as a Nautilus, so that is an option as well. Yeah, so basically, a whole ton of options for the last one. Kind of depends on your match and your playstyle. Alright, so now spells. Of course, you're going to be taking Flash every single match, but your other spell is kind of a little bit variable. If your ADC for some reason doesn't have Exhaust, you probably want to go Exhaust. And aside from Exhaust, your options are Heal and Ignite. Now, I like to go for Ignite because Nautilus is the kind that has a lot of CC, a lot of kill potential, so I like to go for Ignite. But Heal is also an option as well if you want to like just play safe and just, you know, scale into late game or whatnot. Alright, so with all that out of the way, we can jump into the gameplay itself. Alright, so moving on to the gameplay now. As usual, don't forget to, of course, like, comment, and subscribe. Any questions, queries, or remarks, drop them in the comments below and I will be sure to address them. Now, unlike other complete guides I've been doing, today we're going to be doing a little bit something different. Now, I'm going to assume that a lot of my viewers are ADC players because I do mainly ADC content. By the way, that's an int word by me. It didn't go into the bush. So, bad start to the game already. But anyways, I'm going to be discussing about the support role in general as well. Because, of course, in this particular match, I'm in solo queue. I'm playing in solo queue. You guys can see already. First blood before 30 seconds in the mid lane because the Leona cheesed and went to mid lane. But support as a role, in my opinion, is way more impactful than ADC. Now, I still queued ADC as my first choice. I queued support as my third choice and mid as second choice. But honestly, in the duo lane itself, in solo queue, support, in fact even in duo queue, support is the more important role than ADC, because if your support is useless, your ADC is not going to be able to farm safely, not going to be able to get kills, not going to be able to get gold, not going to be able to get items, and as a result, it's going to be relatively useless or very behind. So honestly, in all contexts, support is generally a more important role in the ADC, at least in the early game. It's only in the later stages of the game that the ADC becomes more important than support. So really, I don't mind getting the support role because, of course, I'm really familiar with the matchups of the ADCs and supports because, of course, I play ADC, as you guys all know. So I'm just going to really briefly discuss about what supports I like to pick. Now, I'm the type of player that will not pick an Enchantress support unless something is exceedingly broken, because I feel Enchantress has very little agency. So I'm not going to be playing like Janna, Lulu, or Yuumi. Even if like Yuumi is broken like she was at one point in time, I'm not going to be playing her because I know that she relies on somebody else. And if the person you're attached to is useless, you aren't going to be doing very much. So, by the way, Leona completely entered there by going back into the fight. Don't know what she was really doing. But anyways, yeah, so you're going to be completely useless. So I personally, in solo queue, only pick engage support. So my support pool pretty much consists of Karma, although she's an enchanter, but of course she's OP now, and she also has a really good poke and playmaking potential with her ultimate. So I do play Karma just because of how broken she is. When she gets nerfed, I'm never going to touch her again. So aside from her, my main champions I play is Nautilus, of course tank engage. I play Rakan, who is an engager that's really easy to pull off but not very tanky, and Pyke, who's of course an amazing playmaker, amazing at carrying his team in the early to mid stages of the game, but falls off like a truck in the late game. So I mainly play these three supports. Now, as you guys can see, the common trend is all three of them are engagers, because personally I believe in solo queue when you're playing support, you need to be playing an engager, because engagers makes things happen. As you guys can see here, boom, I've started the fight, and now my team can follow up and continue the fight. Of course that didn't go so well, but it kind of does support my point. Here Rammus goes in. I tried to actually ult the Ezreal, but he actually exited my range when I released the ult, so it actually ended up going to Leona instead, which is fine. We still got the kill on Leona, that's absolutely fine. Warwick comes in with the ulti. I flash forward to get the root onto the Ezreal to make sure he cannot escape, because I wasn't too sure if he had his arcane shift up or not. So anyways, I just make sure to secure the kill for my team. I didn't even KS the Warwick, he got the kill. So here we can pick up 2 plates because we killed the enemy bot lane. The judgment of how many plates you can get is if they back and you have a wave, you can get 1 plate. If you kill them, you can get 2 plates. Don't greed for more plates than you can get, because that's likely to get you caught and likely to die, which then you will lose out way more than what you gain. Okay, so now that we've covered like support as a whole, we can talk a little bit more about the specifics of Nautilus and how to play him. So the most important thing to consider when playing Nautilus or any tank engaging support is basically, do we win the fight? Is the question you basically want to ask yourself. If we win the fight, then you want to look for an engage. And sometimes the answer to do we win a fight actually matters on who you engage on. For example, in this particular, not this particular lane, but for example, if you play in like a lane where, like, for example, you're against a Draven and Leona. Now, do we win the fight could matter if you engage on the Draven or engage on the Leona. For example, you win the fight if you engage on Draven and lock him down. You lose the fight if you engage on Leona and lock her down. So sometimes the second question affects the first question, but generally you want to ask the first question is, do we win the fight? If we win the fight, you want to look for an engage opportunity to start the fight. Here they go for a dive. There's really not much I can do against Kai'Sa. I out stun, hook, and root the Shyvana, but she lives on 1 HP. Warwick cleans up the other kill, and here I hit the hook on Leona, which not Leona, on Shyvana, which actually instantly kills her without even really pulling her to me. So I'm doing pretty well. I'm 2-0-3. I got the Ixtali Seed Jar. I got the tier 2 support item, which I can't really remember what the name is, but yeah, I did get couple of items already. I actually have more gold than Kai'Sa at this point in time, because I'm 2-0-3, where she's 0-1-4. Of course, I did accidentally take that first kill right at the very beginning of the game, unfortunately, but yeah. Also, as a support, you want to always give the kills to your ADC, even if it's solo queue, because at the end of the day, ADCs make way better use of gold than support. So, you know, you can maybe buy your War Monks, but it's gonna be way better if she gets her IE than you get your War Monks, that kind of thing. Another thing is, as support, remember to look at the map and roam around. So here I saw something was happening in the bot lane, so I was actually making my way over. Then halfway through, I realized that I'm not gonna make it there in time, so I might as well just go elsewhere, like a mid lane or back to top lane. So here, since Kai'Sa is with me, we actually go mid lane, and I do want to prop my support items. I hook myself to the minion wave, and I'm able to proc my support item. Now, of course, in solo queue, you can't always control whether they give you the minions to proc on or not, but if they don't, just ping your relic shield or just chat to them. Most of the time, it kind of works out. Here anyways, Kai'Sa goes in, but I'm way out of range. Leona goes in as well, but Leona is now out of range herself. I actually go for the ult on Ezreal, and my ult actually ends up killing the Ezreal. And here, I'm not sure what killed Leona. I think it was like my auto attack AoE from my W killed the Leona. So anyways, I randomly pick up 2 kills there. Third one is not going to me though. Rammus does manage to pick up the kill. However, Rammus is also a tank, so really, Teemo of all people should have gotten the kill there. Now this is going to be able to translate into a dragon for us. Here I'm just warding over the wall to make sure there's no funky business going on. Rammus is really, really low. Warwick thankfully actually goes in to chase the Jace away, so no chance of a steal from the Jace. However, This also puts Warwick way behind enemy lines, and as a result, the Warwick is dead, of course. So here we can back and pick up a couple of items, of course, namely the Stone Plate. As you guys can see, we do have Stone Plate, but we haven't gotten to tier 3 support item yet. But we are about to get there really soon. We also got the Giant's Belt. So here you guys can see one of the small tricks you can do in Nautilus, which is to use his Q to travel faster back to lane. Of course, it does refund half of the cooldown and the mana cost when you hook the wall. So as you can see, I'm nearly at full mana, and I'm all the way back to the lane. Now I'm 4-0-4 by the way, doing really well. Don't actually really manage to proc the Relic Shield. So small tip is don't be greedy to proc the Relic Shield. If you're going to have to walk up and take a lot of poke and damage by proccing the Relic Shield, you rather preserve your health and wait for a better opportunity to proc the Relic Shield itself. Now here Leona is roaming, so I'm pinging that she is on the roam. Shyvana's coming down as well, so the mid lane shouldn't be playing too dangerously. Unfortunately, they somehow go for like a dive onto the Jace under the tower, and as a result, Rammus does die. Not too much you can do, can't control your teammates. If you pinged already and they refuse to listen, really there is nothing you can do here. So in the meantime, here we have Ezreal under the tower by himself. Leona is of course back. Here I'm just warding the bush to make sure that no one's coming. Here, Leona's alone. I engage on Leona. I'm expecting Kai'Sa to, you know, do something here, and she does. So here she does go in. I ult the Ezreal, which is the party target. I also ignite Ezreal. Nice exhaust by the Kai'Sa, so we do manage to take out the Ezreal. Now, unfortunately, Kai'Sa mainly dies to minions here, so she stayed in the minion wave. She took minion aggro from all 4 minions, and that's why she died. She could have actually survived there, I believe, had it not been for the minions. Crying emote for the occasion. And yeah, so here, I know that the 2 of them are dead, and I know that the enemy team is all not near the top lane. So here I'm just going to casually just take down this tower by myself. And yeah, we do get a huge chunk of gold from the tower, as well as, of course, getting the general pressure of not having a tower there. We also managed to fully upgrade the support item to tier 3. I think it's called Face of the Mountain, I'm not too sure. But yeah, so here we also complete our Warmocks. So here we have our first 4 items completed already. We're doing really well this game, 5-0-5. 5 kills coming from kind of a series of unfortunate events, to be very honest. I actually have the most kills on my team, which is not really what you want to see when you're playing support. Now, of course, the Ezreal is 0-3, the Leona is like 2-5. They both aren't doing very well, but the rest of the enemy team is doing pretty alright. Jace is really fat at 8-5. Shyvana and Kill are doing alright with even KDs. So this game is far from over, even though we've been stomping on their bot lane more or less. Now the really sad thing here is Kai'Sa's actually 1-3-8. I actually have more gold than the Kai'Sa because I've pretty much been getting the kills. So here Rammus goes in to try to steal the Herald. Doesn't really get it here. I tried to actually ult to save him. And actually Leona goes in on me at low health. So I actually managed to get the CC on Leona and she dies. I CC the Shyvana next, and I'm forced to actually secure the kill because Kai'Sa is at risk of dying. So that one, really no choice there. Kill manages to escape. I still had my flash. I was thinking of flashing to engage, but no one could actually follow, so no point in doing that. Here I ward the wall to check if Ezreal is anywhere nearby. Again, I still got the flash. You can always flash hook, flash ult, flash auto attack for the root. A lot of ways to CC a person, which is why there are so many Nautilus combos, because pretty much is use whatever CC you can, essentially. So here, Jace is coming down. And here, he is alone with the Hullbreaker, but he's 1v4. So again, I CC Jace with literally everything I have. Except my ultimate, because no point using the ultimate here. There's no way he gets away from 4 people. Rammus also has his taunt, and Warwick also has his fear. There's no way he gets away from so much CC. So easy kill secure onto the Warwick. Not onto the Warwick, onto the Jace. So here, we're just pretty much just roaming around the map, seeing what we can do. 6-0-7 now, still doing really well. Now notice how I'm going all over the map to make sure I'm there for my team to tank, making sure I'm there for my team to engage, and just pretty much just being everywhere that I can, so that I can be there to engage for my team and just peel for them, tank for them, etc. It's pretty much what you want to do as a support. Now unfortunately, my whole team goes in when I'm in the base buying items. Here I was thinking if I can go in myself to kill anybody, but there's 3 of them there. I might be able to get a kill if I go in, but it's not worth, because at 6-0-7 I have a huge shutdown. So here Rammus is coming in, so I thought that maybe, you know, we could get a pick onto somebody, but no one was there anymore. Everybody had retreated, so no point anymore. So here the dragon is spawning. So here I'm blast planting myself over, and I wanted to actually pick up the blast plant seed, but I realized that I just planted one, so there is a cooldown on that. So here Rammus tries to go in for the steal, but fails the steal. He dies, so here I'm alone. So I'm gonna have to ult. I get the 3-man ult to disengage, and I'm running away again, hooking the wall to run. Now Teemo goes in. Leona is really low. I ignored Leona. I'm going for the kill, and I'm going for the Jace, the actual fed members of their team here. I hook onto the Jace again, but Jace is really tanky, so he doesn't die very easy. He's on the run. Warwick actually gets a triple, and here I'm on the. I flash forward to hook the Ezreal. I get the root that he still has the arcane shift, so he's out of there. And now here, notice this is where the Warmock's passive kicks in. So here I'm at really low, but here notice how I'm healing up. Then I can turn onto the Jace, hook, root, and then ulti again with the ignite, and Kai'Sa picks up the kill onto the Jace. So the Jace thought that me and Warwick were low. He thought that he could get the kill, but with the Warmock's regen, I could turn back around, hook him, and CC him for the Kai'Sa to pick up the kill on. So that's the amazing part about the Warmock's armor. So it's not just there for the health, it's there for the regen as well. It's also there for the tankiness. It's a catch-all kind of item, which is why I build it every single match. Alright, so now of course, with those couple of picks, we do have a slight advantage. So a fight breaks up in the bot lane, and I'm not there again. Kai'Sa isn't there either. Thankfully though, our team actually wins out on the fight. Rammus picks up a double, and because of that, we can actually push the tower. Now the thing here is that Shyvana is pushing the mid lane, whereas we're all bot. Now in reality, it would be fine for Warwick to just go and handle Shyvana, and the rest of us can continue on pushing. But my whole team kind of doesn't really listen to what I ping, and they all end up going to rotate mid for Shyvana when there really is no point. You only need one person to stop the Shyvana from pushing, and we can get way more. Now they do pick up the kill on Shyvana though, so at least it's not all for nothing, but it's way worth to let Shyvana live, stop her from getting the tower, and then getting a tower of our own. So here I blind hook into the bush because thinking Leona was there. Rammus does get a decent amount of CC on her. I end up ulting Leona because I think we can get the kill on her, and we do. Unfortunately, when trying to CC her with my auto attack, I end up getting the kill again. Now, if you guys didn't know, Nautilus actually does a really decent amount of damage, which is why you can even play Nautilus as a full tank but still do decent damage, which is exactly what I did here. I'm really not expecting to do this much damage, but I end up literally KSing 7 kills. Not all of the 7 were KSs, maybe like 4 of them were, but yeah, I end up getting, you know, a whole ton of kills. Now I'm 7 kills, and only Warwick has more kills than me, which is kind of disturbing, but you know, it is what it is. And yeah, so here I'm clearing the mid wave because no one else wants to clear it. Now ideally someone else should be clearing the mid wave, and I should be like joining my team elsewhere, but since no one wants to clear it, I'm gonna have to get the job done because we want to always maintain the mid lane priority. It's one of the most important things in the game, to just maintain the mid lane priority so that when objectives spawn, enemies have to deal with a wave, or if you win a team fight, you have a wave to push with. Getting mid lane priority is always important. Alright, so here, enemies coming, I'm hooking myself away and recalling because at this point I can actually complete my Dead Man's Plate. Now in this particular game, I haven't really talked about item choices in this game. If you guys notice, there's Ezreal, there's Jace, there's Shyvana, who all deal physical damage. Leona deals physical damage as well, but she's a tank, she's not going to be doing too much. Kill does magic damage. So at this point, majority are dealing physical damage, so I'm choosing to build the Dead Man's Plate. One, for the faster rotations. As we saw, my team tends to fight without me. Like again here, a fight is breaking out and I'm only just making it there. I hook Shyvana for the CC, but again end up KSing the kill. Now here the fight goes sideways, so I'm trying to CC the backline to stop them from damaging my team. You guys can see here. Get the root onto the Ezreal. I pop the gargoyles to stay alive longer. I'm gonna hook my way away from the enemy team. I still have my flash if needed, but clearly it isn't. Here again, Warmock's armor is kicking in. So here the enemy team probably expected me to be recalling, and they expected to probably easily just push down the mid lane and get the tower. But as you guys can see, by the time I reach the mid lane to defend, I'm already at full health. So again, Warmock's coming into play. Now I can't defend this tower. This tower isn't really important. I need Kai'Sa's help. So Kai'Sa has recalled to regain health. Here I'm just trying to clear the mid wave with my AoE auto attacks as well as my E. Now here, what I've done here is I stepped up to make myself really juicy because I know I'm really tanky and they cannot kill me under tower. So I make sure to step up and distract them from attacking the tower. And as you guys can see, they fell for the trap and attacked me instead of the tower. So as a result, I saved the inhibitor. Now the smarter thing for the enemy team to do is to literally ignore me and just attack the tower, which they did not. Here, Shyvana caught up on the side, the enemy jungler, of course, and Dragon is spawning. Nice catch by Rammus, and I hit the follow-up ultimate and the follow-up hook, and Shyvana is down. So here, this pretty much gives us a free Dragon so long as nothing goes wrong. So here, Rammus has smite, so I expect everything to be fine. But just in case, I use the plant to look over the wall, and look how I stepped forward there. It's a very small thing. If you guys didn't catch it, you can rewind the video like 5 seconds to look. I saw Jace was going to shock blast the pit, so I actually stepped up closer toward him and away from the dragon, so that the AoE wouldn't hit the dragon, so he wouldn't have a chance to steal it. And Warwick with a nice ult over the wall to secure the kill onto the Kayle. And here onto the Jace, I ult him and he is dead. So here at this point, the enemy team is in shambles. They're all dropping like flies, going in one by one and dying, which allows them to pretty much just push all the way onto their base. Ezreal is defending when he's like at 1/4 HP. I'm not sure why he didn't go back to the base. Here at Flash, I could have actually flashed straight onto him, but I just chose not to. Here Shyvana goes in again, going in one by one. So here I'm just literally whacking the base. Here I flash to try to actually get the auto attack on Ezreal, but he does manage to shift away. But it doesn't matter at this point. We simply just secure the victory. So anyways, I'll leave you guys with the stats as usual. Thank you guys so much for watching the video, and goodbye.